right. Good morning. Happy weekend. Peoples, let's jump into GDX and GDXY. Hey, we were up quite a bit in gold and GDX. I think it was up into the 38 range, and then it ended up pulling back, which was good for our weekly, but I would have liked it to maybe pull back. Our weekly was 37.50, so it could have stayed higher, but it didn't. Okay. So what we did, let's take a look. A lot of no synthetics because no shares were bought, but a lot of buy to close, right? 6,805 at 3 cents. And those were the 37.50s I was talking about. And this wasn't in too much danger because we went up into the low 38s. But then, like I said, retraced. They knocked gold down along with as the stock market got worse and worse in the day. Um, but overall, gold and the miners did much better than most of the other things. Yeah, we were down 212, and then GDX was down 1.33. So anyway, we bought all of this quantity back and then put on, and they laddered pretty good. They had a 37, although that's way too close. And then they had some 37 fives, and well, yeah, and all the other ones were 37.5. So we had already had a 38 on. So they put most at the 37.5. That's still fairly close, but there's just not the IV isn't high enough yet in the gold miners for them to get a lot of premium. So they took a chance here with this 2000, I think at 37. I think the miners could easily be 38, 39, $40 next week. There's a panic cycle coming in gold, but I don't know yet if that panic is to the upside or to the downside. My gut says it's to the upside. So if that is the case and we go to the 39, we'll get killed on all these weeklies. Um, but let's see. We shall see. If it goes down, we'll win them all. But they are pretty close. All right. So here you see the 3 cents, right, on these, all three of these. So and that's good, right? We didn't pay much to buy them back. And then on this one, we only spent 2 cents on the 38.5. But look at this, we collected 46 cents. That one was great. This one was a 32 cent and this one was a 31 cent. So I'm happy to take all that money. And then one more 3 cent that we got 30 cents. So 32 cents, 31 cents, and 30 cents, all at the 37 and a half. And look here this week, we're really close and where it can only get 28, 29, and we did get a 32 for the larger quantity. So there's just not much premium in these because they're not considering volatile. And yet they've been fairly volatile. So when gold gets really running, uh, I mean, gold's been over 2,500 this week, which is, another new all-time high. Let me check. Yeah, we pulled back to 24.84. We had been as high as 25.17. So I'm looking at 26 to 2,700 gold by the end of August. So we've got more. If my scenario that I'm seeing plays out, um, so these guys, if they get run by this week, I hope they learn their lesson. Again, we shall see. I'm not sure which way that panic cycle goes. I just know the forecast is for a panic cycle this coming week. I think on Tuesday. So let's see if that bears out. That means we could see something like a 25.50 or higher, or we could go down to 23.80 or 2400. I mean, usually a panic cycle is $50 or more. Um, so let's see what happens. And anything can cause those. All right, so these that we sold let's take a look at all that money. There were no shares added, hence no synthetics. And since we went down slightly, our gain is a little bit lower. But let's take a look at what our weeklies look like. So now we have three different weeklies. We had this one in place from before. We put 2000 of the 37, which is only 1.43, considering that. Let me just look at the intraday chart to make sure what I'm saying, but I know it was at 38 because I sold my Newmont mining some more calls when Newmont mining was almost 51. Yeah, GDX high was 3806. What was my Newmont? I sold it right at the open, a group of my calls, because, yeah, it opened at 50 and it ran as high as 50.71. So again, these things are volatile, you know. Um, but I think that's a consolidation phase and it'll move higher. Those were September calls, by the way. I've owned them since May, so I think I was up 6 times on the last group of calls. And AEM was up a lot yesterday and ended up pulling back a little bit. I'll talk about that because we're doing GDX, and these are some of the larger group of the miners. So let me do AEM. I know it had earnings on the first also. Yeah, AEM opened at 77.12 and ran to 78 and pulled back to 75.12. But these miners should do very well. If we get this gold panic cycle and a run through the month that I see in August, these things they'll put on some numbers. All right, so we got our calls there. We're down a little bit, down a little bit. I didn't even check the IV, but you can see it's very low. That's why they're not paying much. But I expect that to change here as this cycle heats up. All right, let's look at our holdings because that tells us a lot more. So, with most of these new calls, we're not ahead of the game, right? We wrote them and we came down further. So that means they didn't write him at the end of the day when you're in that scenario. But it's no big deal. We collected 239 and we'd have to pay 295. Um, no shares were added. That's from prior. We closed at 1860. Fair value is 1858. So I did not update this on the chart, but I did update it here. Let me do that real fast. 1, 2, 5, 6, 1, 6, 8, minus 1, 4, 3, 7, 704. So that's going to give us 181 on the chart. So, that's a low amount compared to where we had been, right? Well, actually, what I did is I overlaid this one. Normally, I drag it over. So we were at 420 and we went back to 181. So this number should be 420 now. And the 861 should move over there. So I'm pretty confident that these things, well, I'm not. I mean, we could run right by our weeklies, but then our synthetic will make money. I really don't think these people understand what they're dealing with. They don't really know that these miners are set to run. You'd think they'd see it on Friday, um, but we shall see. All right, so let's just go in to the payout and wrap this up. So we got to positive by writing all those calls. We didn't have any synthetics. Had we been writing synthetics at 37, with us below that, we'd be collecting money, right? We could get more for the put than the call. So That would be nice, but it didn't happen. And I understand when a day is like it was on Friday, it's hard for people to commit new money. Unless you're somebody brand new sales shopping, you know, people's fingers tighten up in their pockets. They're afraid that to catch the falling knife, so to speak, in the market. All right. So the net is we're at 9 cents. Short call is not making, or sorry, short call is making the money at 48 cents, but we've got this synthetic income loss from earlier. So that's writing us down. I'm looking at probably us getting paid 68 cents, which would be a 43.87 yield. So last month we were paid 79. If I see something, so again, my prediction video is coming. This is early morning on Saturday. You should see it by Saturday evening for my prediction, or if Sunday you're checking videos. I've got another video also overall on the market. What can we expect for the rest of the trading year? And I think you're going to enjoy that. So I got that's work, and then I owe Ybit and AMZ, the dailies from Friday. So I got a lot of work here on the weekend, folks. Not a playtime, a lot of work. Okay, guys, that's what I got for you. Again, not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, for fun and entertainment. All right, have a great weekend ahead. Bye.